Hello, everybody. Welcome to Course of Wisdom. I want to give you today a little energy update because you might have realized that we have quite intense energies. You might feel it in the body as I do. I feel sometimes like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning already. Now I need to go lay down. I'm just completely wasted. A coffee helped me with some shila chip inside. And I want to mention here, because some people have a problem also to understand. And when I said the word shilachip, this is a word that is maybe very difficult to understand if you have no idea what I'm talking about. So if you go to my blog, and the link is below, you'll find all that written down, including the pictures that I show you. They are in my blog. And very often I update there or add a little bit more details on what I'm telling, giving some more information. So it's worth it if you go to have a check on my blog quickly. So I want to show you first the Schumann resonance that we had, actually this one. You can see how intense energy frequencies are coming in again. And especially a couple of days ago when this very, very big blast came in, I had a feeling when I was sitting here in the evening, like a moment like I'm going to faint. You know, that feeling that just before you faint, that is a little bit like a veil going through you. And I was a little bit worried because my mother had many brain strokes. But when I check it out, it has nothing to do with brain stroke. It really seems to be the energy that is shifting in the moment. And then we have some kind of breaks where really the energy collapses. And then later we had yesterday, we had again very quite intense frequencies going on. But this one there on the 21st was very, very intense. And I can imagine that you all have some kind of maybe symptoms in your body. What can also be is that like old symptoms are flaring up. So for example, if you have a history, say for example, got a stomach problem. So when energy frequencies like that are coming in and you maybe eat a little bit too heavy, then you might have problems with your stomach or headache. So whatever it is, what is your history? So look at it a little bit closer, then it will help you to understand what is happening. So I was drawing from my Dakini oracle, and that's my oracle that I work since actually early 80s. I had many other oracles in my life, but this is the one I always come back. And somehow this is a collage, and this is more or less from an Eastern background. And that is the card that represents eternal life. So my intuition to this card, including looking at the Schumann resonance, tells that we are now prepared for this eternal life. And you probably know that we are all eternal, that just our body is a clothes made out of matter from Mother Earth. But we come into that clothes and we leave that clothes when so-called we die. And that is something that we don't have to fear. I had many I did regressions for many years also with people. And it's very clear always what I saw with their regression and with those I did myself too, that death actually is completely painless. But what happens before can be very painful. This is our fighting against it is very painful because look, our soul has decided that it's time for us to leave the body. So the more we try to fight against it, the worse it gets. So it is important that we let go because life itself is eternal. And through the consciousness level rising, we more and more approach the understanding who we really are. As I always say, I'm a goddess having a human experience, or if you're male, you're a god having a human experience, if we want to say like this. or you can say, I'm a divine being having a human experience. But this is why for many it is so difficult to be human, because we have complete different experience that we bring with us, because we've been anything else but human. So for example, I made another video and I had many questions about that, about how it is to live in a more enlightened society. And what I know from other existence is, like, in a enlightened society, you don't have money. Yes, well, what do you do without money? That's a good question, because see, we are so brainwashed that we need money. We are not employees either. You know, this is the brainwash. That's why they invented school, so that you are trained to become an employee, so that you're going to make others rich. Because as the employee itself, you might have a good salary, whatever, but you never are your own boss. And that's where we are heading. Once you are living in a higher society, you're your own boss. So you're born, you live your life, you choose what you want to do, and you come with a consciousness that you automatically want to contribute to the good of all. So there is not even a question if you want to work or not. Work is going to be your hobby. And once, say, for example, you love to bake, I just say some samples that is easy to understand. So you're a baker for maybe 10 years, 20 years or whatever, and does it actually, I have enough now, I would like to go into something else. So no matter, because our age process in different existence is also completely different. You just go and you start over again. Maybe you want to become a pilot or whatever. And you can do that. And we always contribute to the whole without asking how much, whatever. So if you want to go, say, for example, I want to have a flight to Europe to visit my family, then I just book. And I look where I have a free place in an airplane, and I don't have to pay anything because they fly anyway. And everything is done volunteer. And in a higher society, higher evolved society, you also have much more technical, or it's not really technical, it's a more spiritual advantage that is very, very difficult to explain here. So we are prepared for eternal life. Those who are awake are prepared. And I asked so about humanity now, what is going on? And I have the chameleon, and I have, you see, that's a snake between two apples. This is the part that is the temptation. And this part actually means it two things apparently look the same, but it is your motivation, your background that give it value. So, for example, it reminds me of that's a story from the Bible, when the rich man went to the temple and put the gold coin into the whatever they collect, the money collection. And there is a very poor man, and he had just a very little copper penny to give in there. And Jesus said the one who gave the copper penny gave much more, because the rich man has much more gold coins. And for the poor man, it was his only penny he gave. And that's the motivation behind things. So that you get to the point of that eternal life, to really understand what it is very important that the motivation why you do something is clear. And the chameleon is, this is the animal that changes the color according to the situation. So don't be like a flag in the wind. Stand up for what you believe in, stand up for your truth. Still a lot of people are hiding. I can see that so often, and especially those who are still wearing masks. Why don't you have the courage just to take it off? Because it doesn't bring you anything. It doesn't bring anybody anything. It just harms you. So it would be the right thing now, after all that what we went through the last 3 years, to stand up and say, no, I'm not playing that game anymore. And you know what? You won't be punished, because the time is right that we move on. And then I draw another card, what it is all connected. And this is a very interesting card here, the past, the part of the past. You can see the head of a lion. another life, and this is like a cascade of blonde hair coming down. This is also connected with what karma is in our past, what is coming back to us, and how we are handling it. So I don't think that we have still to work on karma in that way, but we have to work on habits. And very often, like for example, we had many lifetimes in this paradigm of being slaves, of being controlled. Many of us have come down here to understand, to be able to help. It's, it's like when you want to become a spy. You have to live in that country. You have to be able to speak the language. You have to understand the way of life so that you can wait for the moment when the call is coming, that you can give the information where you come from to move things. And in a way, it's the same like here. This is about the dangerous part here, that we have to learn to move forward, that we have to learn to go into the experience, even maybe emotionally or mentally, but we have to separate ourselves from it, like to be an observer. Once we are in this situation of being an observer, then things are not the same anymore. Let me explain that again with the whole karma, and I mentioned that in the previous reading. I forgot which one. But like if our soul, you compare with a balloon, and this balloon has this is your soul essence inside. There is air inside, right? And then I squeeze out of the bigger balloon one little bubble, and that bubble is a personality. That personality goes out and live life. And then when that personality dies, then the whole essence is going back into the soul. So we have the first experience in this dimension, the second, the third, and so on. But the personality number one is not the personality number two, because number two has already the experience of number one. And the person number three has the experience of 2 and 3. And 10 has the experience of all the 10 before. But once a new personality is coming into the third dimension, you choose your curriculum and you choose the unfinished business, like of maybe personality 2, 3, and 5. You take on unfinished business as a person number 10. So you have not done the karma. It is not you. It was another personality with another background, with another experience in another time. And so it cannot be compared. So the karma very often is symbolic karma. Now let me explain, maybe when you have been in a war and you've been in the situation and you killed maybe 100 people with a bomb or something, whatever. That does not mean that you have a karma that you need to die 100 times, that you have to incarnate 100 times and 100 times die. But you will symbolically experience this death. There are many, many ways that I cannot tell you right now what it is, but sometimes when you have something in your life coming that is really hardship, maybe you just look at it and you just take it and you go through it. And you don't need even to ask big questions. You even don't need to know what is behind it. Just accept it, because before you incarnated, you have already put the curriculum of this life. And in the moment where you were born as a human being, came into this body, it was activated. And then it unfolds. And every time, say, for example, when the topic mathematics come up, you have to look at the topic and you are having to learn something about mathematics or emotional or things or whatever it is, whatever topic is triggered. And that's what we actually see very well in astrology. And so when you look at these cards, the summary, what we have here is that now we are being prepared for the consciousness level, for the consciousness of having eternal life. that we really let go of all these fears and all these brainwash. Actually, that's the only way programming brainwash, and let this go. And then we have to learn again how to completely stand behind who we are and stop hiding. Stop changing the colors according to the situation, but be true to ourselves. For survival, it has been very important that we maybe have changed colors in the past, but not anymore. Don't go and work for institutions that you believe just you need the paycheck, but the institutions itself, they are not good for humanity. Like a friend of mine who was selling cigarettes, he gets sick and said, well, okay, go ahead and go on and sell cigarettes and make bad karma. You can maybe also sell something else and you will be better off. And that we always choose what we do from the motivation that is really behind us. Don't pretend to be something. Don't pretend, because this is not what you can take with you anyway. And then after that, when your karma, when your past is fulfilled in that way that you can let it go completely, that is the moment when you as a last more or less incarnation go back into that bubble of the soul and make it whole, that all the experiences, or you can say back home. And that's the moment when we are balanced. See, that's what really matters. And that's what is so clearly shown in the Buddhist way, that it doesn't really matter what we experience. What is that what we make the karma with is the attachment. The moment at one point where everything is balanced, we are free. And this is now what is happening. So don't pay so much attention to all that garbage that is being told outside and the politics and everything, because this is just a huge game going on. And this is the game that many still need to wake up. But maybe you are sick or tired of the whole stuff too, and just want to step back and don't play that game anymore. I hope that helps a little bit about energy. And next weekend, I'm going to make the moon reading. And I wish you a wonderful day. Bye-bye.